to regret that statement. We've had a lot of things go on this morning here, and it's really hard to get everything in. Are you sad about that? It's been wonderful, hasn't it? In Joshua 4, there's an account of the crossing of the Jordan River as the children of Israel came into the Promised Land. And God had a funny request of Moses. He said, I want you to get one of the men from each tribe to pick up a stone from the middle of the riverbed, and I want you to carry it to where you're going to camp. So I can imagine that Joshua chose the Polynesian men, the big ones, to get the biggest stones. They probably competed with one another, and they carried these things clear to where they were going to camp, and they piled them in a pile. I don't know what it looked like. I can't imagine 12 stones if they were on top of each other, or a pyramid. I really don't know. But it must have been significant, because the rest of the instructions are when your kids see this and they ask, what are these stones for? Then you're supposed to be able to tell them that this is a memorial to how God has worked in the past. And here we are, 75 years into the life of NASDAD. And it seems to me that it's a pile of stones. Here we are at a pile of stones. If you hike to the top of the mountain, you know there's a cairn up there, right? A big pile of rocks, and down inside somewhere there's a tin can, and it's got some paper and a little stubby pencil that's not very sharp anymore, and people write their names. It's a memorial to what you've accomplished. If you have done a lot of hiking in Utah, Arizona, in Colorado, in Red Rock country, you know how the trails are oftentimes on stone and rock for miles, and it's pretty hard to tell where you're going. And when you see that pile of rocks up there that marks the trail, then you have this feeling of relief. I'm on the right path. And when you see it in the future, you know where it is you want to go. So this 75th anniversary seems to me to be a good pile of rocks. It reminds us of how God's led in the past. You've heard the testimonies this morning of these people telling us how things have been accomplished, not through what we planned, but what God did, what He asked us to do. And if we are faithful to Him, He manages things that just make our eyes pop. And so, I want to ask you at this point to think about how God has led us and where we need to go in the future. I think there are a couple of things to think about. There was a time, I've been reading some of the historical documents of NASDAD, and there was a time when NASDAD decided it's time to have a dental clinic in Osaka. It's time for a dental clinic in a particular place, and they fund it. They'd educate the dentist and send them and pay his way. It's amazing that this organization was so vibrant and powerful at that time. I look forward to that again in the future, and I think it can happen. There's a possibility of collaborating with other organizations and seeing that again in the future. NASDAD's been very active in dental education, not just in establishing the School of Dentistry in Loma Linda, as it obviously has done that, but it's been involved in education of students all the way along in Christian dental education at Loma Linda University and the other Adventist universities around the world. We have an opportunity to do more than that. I think there's a possibility that we could have a training, vetting, orientation center for future and present mission dentists someplace in the world where our vision can be transferred effectively to young people who are interested in being part of the mission program. There are lots of opportunities, and what we need is God's vision. What we need is to be faithful. And part of that is sitting next to you on the chair. This envelope and the pen so thoughtfully provided allows you to fill in your YAM donation for this year. We're going to pick up the offering here in a couple of minutes, so you can take just a couple here while I talk, and you can write your pledge or commitment. You can put a check in here. You can put 12 cents in there if you want. We'll use it all, and we'll use it carefully. I prefer that you write a check and then have several zeros at the end.
That's before the period.
Let's talk to God, and then we'll hear the good music while we pick up the offering. Dear Lord, in this Sabbath school time, we've been very impressed to hear how you are willing to use us in our frailty and our weakness, how you've been willing to make a difference in this world, and how our faithfulness has been so effective for you. We pray this morning as we give these gifts and as we plan for the future to be involved in missions, either here in this country, in the operatories of our offices, or in some remote location, either in a dental clinic or under a tree. We pray that you will bless us and that you will use us and that you will help us to be responsive to you. We thank you for what you've given us financially, and we're appreciative of the fact that you're willing to take this back and will use it for your good, for your plan and for your kingdom. Now, as we give this offering and as we listen to the music, Lord, we pray that you'll continue to be with us. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you, my brothers and sisters from Hawaii. Let's bow our heads. Gracious, kind, loving Father, we've just seen a small picture today, but it's crystal clear that you have designed and guided in the past. With us, you've guided in the past and guided and directed currently, and we trust that you will guide and direct for us in the future, because we want to reflect in a very small part how faithful you really are and how loving you are. Jesus.